12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. That right there is a live shot of Mount St. Helens, as you probably know if you are here in the Northwest. And that's from our Shriners Cam in downtown Portland, so it is kind of amazing how close we can zoom in. But we're talking about Mount St. Helens today because, well, there's a lot of things going on up there. We're going to find out exactly what that is here coming up during this segment. This is Fox 12 Now. We live stream here every weekday starting around 1 p.m. Pacific, covering a wide range of topics. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, you can go to kbtv.com and, of course, the Fox 12 Oregon app, two places to find all of these segments after we get to talk about them. But you've probably heard some news about Mount St. Helens lately. It seems there's been an uptick in seismic activity. There's some reports saying that it is recharging. Is there more magma coming in? People are worried, is it going to erupt? There's a lot of questions that are going on there. We're going to attempt to get those answered today, not by myself, but by our guest. Joining us right now, we have Seth Moran from the USGS, a research seismologist. And Seth, thank you very much for joining us today to talk about this. This is, I see it trending all over the place right now, people talking about what's happening up there at Mount St. Helens. And I guess to start off, can you tell us, about this recent uptick in seismic activity? Is this out of the ordinary, or is it something that honestly we should just expect to happen on a regular basis?
Yeah, well, I guess, the first thing is that we've been monitoring Mount St. Helens since 1980, and we, USGS, also University of Washington Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, it's one of the best monitored volcanoes in the world. And that allows us to see things that really small earthquakes and other sort of subtle changes that happen probably at volcanoes all the time when they're not erupting. And so certainly we have gained a lot of experience and perspective on the kinds of earthquakes that happen at Mount St. Helens and sort of the ebbs and flows of seismicity over time. It last erupted 2004 to 2008. Since then, we've seen sort of progressively increasing rates of seismicity. That pictograph right there shows that quite nicely. But it's not like, it sort of comes and goes. There are spurts that last for weeks or months, and then there's other periods of time where it's a more ebbing. And this starting about February up until now, we've seen a slow, steady kind of uptick in small earthquakes. Important to emphasize, the largest is a magnitude 2. Most of these are below magnitude 1. Some of them are even mind-blown negative magnitude earthquakes, which just means teeny tiny earthquakes.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, negative. I'd never heard that one before. So the fact that these are happening then, and as you mentioned, this is so well monitored, is that part of the reason that we're able to notice such minute detail that goes on there on Mount St. Helens compared to maybe other volcanoes around the world?
It certainly helps. And our goal at places like Mount St. Helens and other volcanoes in the Cascades that would be big problems were they erupt again, like Mount Rainier, Mount Hood. Our goal is to be able to detect, as small an earthquake as possible. So magnitude zeros, that's where we're sort of aiming at. And St. Helens has that perspective. Going back before Mount St. Helens erupted, from 1986 to 2004 was a period of time when nothing was coming out of the ground. But we saw similar kinds of months of uptick and then months of sort of ebbing of seismicity rates. Back then, the earthquakes, on average, we were seeing slightly bigger earthquakes. There were more of them. One interpretation of those is that it was the magmatic system kind of recovering from the previous eruption and kind of getting ready for the next one.
Looking at that historical data and talking about that leading up to the 2004 eruption that we had after the original one, does it seem like we're in that period again with enough years where it's recharged and we could anticipate an eruption happening?
That is certainly. We are, Mount St. Helens is an active system, and these earthquakes are a manifestation of that. And it's, a pretty logical interpretation that what we're seeing now compared to what was happening in 86 through 2004 is a similar kind of process. And we also know that Mount St. Helens is, how it has been for the last 4,000 years, the most frequently erupting volcano in the Cascades. And going back, geologists have sort of unearthed evidence that about an average, there's an eruption once a century. And when you do get eruptions happening, sometimes they happen in clusters. In 1980 to 86, there were a series of 20 lava dome building eruptions. Then there was a 18-year gap, and then we had a 3.25-year continuous lava dome building eruption. So one way of viewing this is that this is just kind of a continuation of the process that ultimately started back in 1980. And every so often, we probably should expect that Mount St. Helens will wake up again.
And given that fact, that, yeah, as you mentioned, that it could be erupting, just to understand the geological side of it just a little bit more. So this is magma that's coming back in to somewhere